Rugby Championship 2024, folks, goes South Africa's way with an emphatic win. 48 points to 7 over the Pumas. Pumas went into this one with a very, very, very slim chance of getting their hands on the trophy. I think they would have taken a win. Probably would have taken a more competitive performance in this one, but discipline costly for them. And the Springboks ruthless, hardly going for poles, and absolutely cutting loose at times to punish the Pumas. A fitting one for the crowd that was there for Ebenezabeth's record-breaking game in terms of being the most capped Springboks player ever. And a well-earned trophy for the Boks. Certainly the best team throughout the course of this tournament, capped off with a big win at home. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the game, but yeah, man, massive, massive shift from the Bok boys, and quick out of the blocks as well. Really, they didn't let Argentina settle into this game early. They came out wanting to get a fast start, and they got that. Marty Libok, whose selection had raised a few eyebrows, but I mean, Rassie Erasmus backs his dude, which is one thing I like about him. He doesn't let external pressures influence his selection, and it was looking like a pretty good decision by the big man, the big coach, because Marty was just playing with a sense of freedom of a guy who doesn't have that much pressure on him. Like, cross kick to Colby early was maybe a little bit too big, but showing some ambition early to really kind of push the Pumas in the wide channels. And South Africa opting for scrums and not poles showed a sense of intent, or they wanted to keep bullying this Pumas scrum as they did last week, and they just kept doing it, man. Scrum advantage. Potentially could have been a penalty try. Back for an advantage. Eventually, we get the Springboks' first try of the game. It does take 8 minutes, but it had been coming for a while. Hendrikse to Dealende. Libok with the try assist pass to Fussy, who goes over for the first of his 2 tries, 7 points to 0. And interestingly, Hendrikse doing the goal kicking this week. Rassie had mentioned there was a plan with the goal kicking. The goal kicking was Hendrikse, and he did all right. He missed a few, but at a scoreline like 48-7, doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I mean, in other games it can. South Africa putting in the high balls as well. Marty Libok's, he did that well last week in the game that he missed that final kick, but his high ball kicking was phenomenal in that game too. The ability to put up the high balls, which are contestable for the Bok backline to chase, they're a pretty high percentage play, because if you win the ball, great, you've just gotten yourself 20-30 meters up the field. If the Pumas guys knock it on, you're going to get a scrum, and there's a good chance you get a penalty out of that, so that's going to be a win. Worst case scenario is the Pumas guy catches it and you probably flog them in the tackle. So it was a smart play. We saw high ball to Creel, which led to a knock on, which led to a penalty. And by this point, we're getting yellow card warning for the Pumas guys for scrum time, just being under such dominance. This period of pressure leads to the Pieter-Steph Toy try, first of his 2 tries as well. He gets man of the match in this game. He was busy all around the park on attack and defense. But yeah, line out phases. Pieter-Steph kind of jumping over. Fingertips just on the ball enough to see it force, because initially he puts it down on a foot, but he's able to keep control of it somehow, or at least fingertips on it to force it to the ground. 14-0. It is all South Africa. Argentina haven't fired a shot. Pleasingly for Argentina, their first shot that they fired ended up with a try. Sadly for them, only try of the game. And it's kind of a soft one if you're a South African fan, because Kurtley Arendse gets pinged for preventing a quick line out. So that's a pretty soft penalty to concede, because they were deep down their own end, the Argentinians. That leads to a nice exit for the Argentinians. They're able to get themselves some field position. They go through some phases. They get Grondona going through a gap from a nice little Oviedo pass. So the Lucies from Argentina working well together. And then Albanoz with a great support line. 14-7. 14-7 didn't really reflect how the game was going, but like I said, from the Pumas guys, 1 shot, 1 chance, 1 try. Sometimes games go like that. You can knock on the door all you want, and the other team can just come back and hit you with their first chance. But as I said, that's the only scoring from the Argentinians. And they kind of conceded a really soft penalty from the restart by being in front of a kicker. So that was Grondona. So undoes a little bit of the good work done because Hendrickson just slots the penalty. It's basically not a free three-pointer, but it makes that 7 points you've just gained back. You lose 3 of them back to the box. So 17-7. And then South Africa just start playing some sublime rugby. You got Jesse Creel with a big line break down the left wing. He was really busy on attack. A lot of carries from him. You got Libok with that, as I say, kind of effortless side of the boot pass over to Colby. And then Chocobates, unfortunately for the Pumas, ended up getting a pretty nasty leg injury because as he was holding the line for on rushing up Lele Fassi just kind of slips and just takes out his leg. It was horrendous, pretty ugly, absolutely unfortunate, just bad luck. But yeah, that was unfortunate because Chocobates, in terms of that midfield defense, is a real kind of key cog in the Argentinian machine. But yeah, they're playing some nice rugby, and then it gets worse for the Argentinians because Mateo Carreras, bad timing on a aerial contest with Fassi means he gets himself yellow carded. And if one thing South Africa showed in this game, they are not a team who mucks around when the other side has a yellow card, because boy did they punish. Argentina were making a lot of tackles during that yellow card period, and to be fair, there were some big hits, which was pleasing. It looked like they were going to hold. They even won themselves the ball. They pinched the ball, but then they just didn't exit, and the South Africans pilfered it right back. It was almost comical. Then we got the offload from Colby on the deck to Fassi to finish off a try. It took a bit of magic to break the Argentinian defence despite the yellow card, but they got it. Missed conversion, 22-7. And then another one, a second during the yellow card. Some wide passes. Libok with the wide pass to Fassi. Fassi with the wide looping pass to Colby. Colby steps Moroni, makes him look kind of silly, but it's not the first time Colby's done that kind of ankle-breaking stuff. 27-7 at halftime. 20-point lead. Possession 66% South Africa. Territory 68% South Africa. Run meters 328 to 86. South Africa. Clean breaks 9-1. Penalty count 7-1. That's one of the few stats that the Argentinians have a higher number than the box, and it's not one that you want to be leading. Now, to be fair to the Pumas, the box don't score for ages in the second half. The box, if you wanted to be super critical, you could be critical about the start of the second half, about how the Pumas were actually starting to get some momentum. I don't think anyone's going to be criticising too much. Almost a perfect campaign, barring the one loss, and get your hands on the trophy. As I said, celebration for Eben, but they legit didn't score for a large period of the second half. It started well. Kolisi with a penalty at the breakdown. He got over the ball fantastically quickly for the box. Meant that they had a shot at goal. Hendrickson pushed that one wide. And then Argentina had some chances, man. 51 minutes, first chance of the half, deep in South African territory. On rushing Mateo Carreras from a nice line-up move. Just knocks it on. It's unlike the first half where it was that kind of one shot, one try. This one's a kind of blown opportunity. More phases defended by South Africa. And then there's a TMO check for a Pablo Matera, a clean out on Vincent Koch. Gets yellow carded. He's maybe lucky to be just initially yellow carded because it didn't look great, especially from the third angle they showed. The review will later come back red, rightly so. I don't think there was ever going to be non-red for that one, but yellow initially and red. They did actually manage to still look all right in this initial 14-on-15 period for the Argentinians. Like, at one moment, Fassi kept the ball in from touch, when the Pumas were trying to press a kick deep into play, but his kick clear wasn't fantastic, but the athleticism to keep the ball in play was fantastic. But yeah, man, despite Argentina being a man down, they maybe had one of their best periods of the game. They had a 5-meter line out at one point. They mauled it. The maul was stopped. They had a handful of phases, and they knocked it on. And then they have the troubling part, whereas they get a second guy in the bin. This one's it's Santiago Carreras for a one-handed attempt at an intercept, which you know is going to get punished for the yellow card for a deliberate knock-on. And here's where South Africa really go to town. Marks gets a try from a maul, 15-on-13, 32-14. Kurtley Aronsa looks to have potentially scored the try of the game, admittedly against 13 men, so it's easier to kind of look flash. Not every team makes it look easy. Some teams struggle with the man advantage, but Quaka Smith, I think it was, popping the ball from the deck when to be thrown to his ankles. Lacanio arm show and go. Line break. Jesse Creel, big carry. Thought he might let that one go a bit earlier, but no. Fussy with the cross kick to Kurt Lee. He just doesn't ground it. He probably would like that one back because I think he usually gets that one, but try not given because he didn't ground it. But doesn't matter because Peter Steph gets a try a minute later anyway, so 41-7. And then Creel, deservedly, I think, for his performance, gets one as well. Elric Lowe with the big line break. I feel like he passes that one earlier. They probably score, but it doesn't matter, again, because they score a few phases later through Creel. So 48-7. Emphatic win. And to their credit, Argentina pushed. The game's over, but they kept pushing. They wanted to get one last score. Schoolyard last try wins. Nah. South African defence not giving it to them. The game ends with a bit of handbags. So there's still a bit of feeling between these sides. But it's game over, and it is the Rugby Championship in South Africa's hands. As I mentioned, best team throughout the tournament. And capping it off with a pretty emphatic win. For the stats, I mean, it's a similar reading to the first half. Maybe not quite as emphatic. Possession finish is 60-40. Territory finish 56-44. Run meters 767 to 218. That's a lot of run meters, man. For a test match, you're usually looking at between 2 and 5. So to get to 700 meters is nuts. Defenders beaten 30-19. Clean breaks 17-3. If anything, the Boks could have had more points. But as I said, there was a pretty quiet period at the start of the second half. And pleasantly for the Boks, line-out is 10 from 10. It's been an area of, I don't want to say, it's not been poor, but it's been average for the Boks. Whereas previously, when they had all their locks fit, it was a real area of strength. 10 from 10. The Pumas are at 13 from 16, so they missed a few. Penalties conceded, 11 by the Pumas. 7 by the Boks. So the Boks copping a lot more in the second half compared to the first half where they were really clean. But 2 yellow cards and a red card. How many tries was it scored during the cards? At least like 4. Game still goes the Boks way even without the cards, but the Pumas guys didn't do themselves any favours there. Individuals, I mean, Grondona, Oviedo and Rubiolo all made 13 tackles. So they were trying to keep the Boks out. But I mean, Creel, 102 metres, 3 clean breaks and a try. Visa, big carries at the back, 84. Back of that pack, 84 metres, 5 defenders beaten. Colby, 7 defenders beaten. He gets a try. Peter Steph to toy, 2 turnovers, 1. He has 9 carries. He has 10 tackles. He just does everything. Man of the match. And that is all she wrote for the Rugby Championship 2024. Congratulations to the Boks. First time they've won the kind of full version of the Rugby Championship in quite some time. But as I mentioned, kind of far and away the best team of the championship. I mean, nobody else even had like just the 2 losses, right? The next best teams have 3 wins, 3 losses. So for the Boks to go 5 from 6, it's a pretty deserving effort from them. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How well do you think the Boks looked? Pumas discipline, the key for you. How much are you enjoying seeing the silky skills of the kind of Tony Brown factor, I guess? Because they were doing some pretty amazing stuff on the field at times. Albeit, sometimes against 13 men, which makes things look just a touch easier. Buy us a beer if you've enjoyed the Rugby Championship content, maybe. Put a link down in the description to that one. It's always good to have some liquid refreshment. But yeah, you guys take care of yourselves. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.